Hi. I'll hand it to you.
Okay, thank you.
You thought it disappeared. Good afternoon. I'm privileged to be the pastor of this church. I'm Joy Baumgartner. And on behalf of our congregation, I welcome you. And certainly, it is a wonderful day. It's a beautiful day outside. It's a wonderful day to be here. And we are so fortunate in this city to have people who are willing to come and to share their incredible gifts of music. And that is certainly the case today. So I welcome you. Be aware, be happy, be enjoying all that is going on around you. Your heart will be lifted and filled with wonderful music today. If you have any needs at all, I will be in the back, or Max is there. If there's any direction or anything you might need, please let us know. Welcome.
Wow, thank you so much for coming today. I'm Satoko, and this is Jean. We live in Madison, but I teach piano lessons and piano classes at Beloit College. I used to be a student here too at Beloit College, and this is the place where really affected me deeply in my life, and it really changed my life. So it's really special to be able to share music with you today for me. So thank you so much for coming. And I'm really grateful that I was able to bring Jean today. She's a wonderful friend of mine, and also a wonderful trumpeter, artist, and a teacher. So I love her take always on creating a really, really creative programs and presenting it in a way that really resonate with us. So I hope you will enjoy today's concert as well. Okay, so we'll start with the first piece, and we'll talk about that later.
Hello. There we go. Yeah. So, hello. Thank you for being here. That was Chopin Nocturne Number 1, Opus 9, published in 1833, originally, of course, for solo piano. And I stole it. I wrote this arrangement because, first of all, it's a gorgeous, beautiful piece of music, and pianists are so fortunate to have this long history of beautiful music written for them. Trumpet is a much more contemporary instrument, actually. In its modern form, it just came to be in the mid 1850s in its contemporary form, around 1830 to 1875. Somewhere in there, it started to solidify. So we didn't get to work with all those great composers. So I stole it, and what I love about this piece is it highlights actually what I think brass does really well, which is dynamicism and color. So I played a flugelhorn, which is the instrument I started on, which is a very low, mellow instrument, and then I switched to a C trumpet, which is a little bit brighter, and then a little piccolo, which is much brighter. So it shows all the colors that the trumpet can make. The theme of this recital is actually nighttime. So I know we're in a beautiful sunny day, but imagine that you're sipping your chamomile tea in the evening. And of course that was a nocturne. So a nocturne is a piece of music, usually just one movement, that evokes essences of the night. And it was a dreamy, tranquil waltz. And we're going to move on to a piece that was not originally written to be themed around the night, but we've actually paired it with a children's story. So it's a bedtime story for you all here at 3 p.m. on a Sunday. And it's near and dear to me because somebody in my family came out as gay, and we hadn't talked much about that as a family. And so when that happened, we started to talk more, especially to the youth of the family. And I have 2 very young nieces. And so we picked up this book by John Oliver. John Oliver is the late night comedian who wrote this beautiful children's story about a bunny who finds another bunny to fall in love with. And we actually recorded my niece, who was 4.5 years old at the time, reading it. So you're gonna hear her voice reading Marlon Bundo's, or John Oliver's Marlon Bundo, while we pair it to Jean-Baptiste Arbin's Fantasy Brilliant. And Arbin was a trumpet soloist extraordinaire, wrote a huge method book for the trumpet, and he really wanted to make the trumpet a solo instrument. He was very in love with Paganini and wanted the trumpet to be as virtuosic as the violin. So he wrote a lot of cornet solos, and he inspired a lot of them. He was inspired by the Italian opera. So you'll hear some of those qualities of the Italian opera. It's very dramatic, and I thought that this piece in particular would pair beautifully with the story of Marlon Bundo, read by my niece. If you can't understand her little 4-year-old voice, there actually is a pamphlet in there where you can follow along. Thank you so much for printing that out. And you can follow along with the story if you'd like. So here is Marlon Bundo paired with Fantasy Brilliant.
Hello, my name is Marlon Bundo. I am a buddy. I live with Mom, Grandma, and Grandpa in a long, ugly house on the ground of the newest Naval Observatory. This is a story about my very special day. watched the news all alone. And I ate a fine morning breakfast all alone. I went to the garden after breakfast to look at the flowers and look deep down to say hello to the bugs. That's when I saw the bunny with the fluffiest ear and the fluffiest tail. He was bunny beautiful. My name is Morning, I said, but my family calls me Boris. It's so funny of the United States. It's a long story. My name is Wesley, and my family calls me Wesley. So Wesley and I hopped together all around the garden. We hopped over daisies. We hopped over tiny carrots that were too tiny and couldn't be lunches yet. Once we had hopped out every part of the garden, we didn't want to stop hopping. So we hopped right inside the old stuffy house. We hopped up and down the creaky stairs. And the beautiful creaky stair music together. We hopped through the kitchen and maybe left a few bunny prints. We hopped through very boring meetings with very boring people. It was a very good hop. It was the best hop. At the end of our hop, I said, Wesley, I don't want to hop without you ever again. And Wesley said, that's fine, because I never want to hop without you. We will get married and hop together forever. Hello, everyone, we said to all the animals in the garden. Hello, Phil the dentist, the bugs. Papa Nick, who was a badger, and Scooter, who was a turtle. Hello, all of you. We'll get married so we can hop together forever. Hooray, said Phil the dentist, the bugs. And Papa Nickel, who was a badger, and Mr. Oz, who was a very good dog. Hooray, said all of our friends, because that's what friends say. Wait, said the scary voice. You can't get me. And we looked around and saw that the scary voice was coming from the stink bug. Let me tell you a little bit about the stink bug. The stink bug was in charge. That meant that he made the rules. That meant all the animals listened to him. Even though he was, and this is true, very stinky. Boy bunnies don't marry boy bunnies, said the stink bug. Boy bunnies marry girl bunnies. But this is the bunny I love, said Wesley. And this is the bunny I love, said Mia, Molly Bundle. Too bad, said the stink bug. I am the stinkiest and I am important. I'm the stinkiest and I am in charge. Boy bunnies marry girl bunnies. Girl bunnies marry boy bunnies. This is the way it's always been. You are different, and different is bad. Other animals whispered nervously among themselves. Uncle Nichols, who was a bagger, came forward. I am different too, he said. I eat my sandwiches crust first. I am different too, said Mr. Paws, who was a very good dog. Sometimes I sniff, but I don't know why. And different is not bad, said Scooter, who was a turtle. Different is special. Because I think different is special because you're all in your own unique way. If people are the same, it won't be as special and you say, hey, I'm not as special, I feel sad about it. Wait, Mr. Paws. We get to decide who's in charge. We get to decide who is important. We can vote. And on this very special day, all the animals voted. They chose not to stink bug. Hooray, said me, Marlin Bundo. Hooray, said Wesley. Hooray, said all the friends. Because that's what friends said. No, boomed the stink bug. Boy bunnies can't marry boy bunny. You're not in charge. So Wesley and I got married. We have two handsome blue models named Muffins and Tony. The ceremony was performed by a cat named Pajama. I'm a pajamas and I love cats. Who brought her wife as a date. After we ate and drank and danced, we went home together. We have to get some sleep, Marlin. Tomorrow we leave on a bunny boat. Because it doesn't matter if you love a girl bunny or a boy bunny, or eat your sandwich backwards or forward. Stink bugs are temporary. Love is forever.
What do you think about that book?
Good. Oh my gosh, sis.
Thank you. I'm so glad you liked it. My niece's name is Annabelle, and she is actually now 7. We recorded this right before the pandemic a little bit before, like a year before, and I performed it once and then everything shut down. So it's really exciting to sort of capture her youth, her 4.5-year-old self in time. She's almost 7, I should say, because now that time is all gone. It's been 2 years since we last performed it. Moving on, the next theme and scene from A Nighttime is a prayer, actually. That was a children's story, and now we're going on to another thing that you think about when you think of winding down for the day, reflecting on the day, sort of dropping the weight and the stress of the day. And we're actually going to perform a piece by a contemporary singer-songwriter, Regina Spektor. Have any of you heard of Regina Spektor? Yeah, beautiful, beautiful singer-songwriter. And the piece is actually a twist on a biblical story. So it's the story of Samson and Delilah, but told from the perspective of Delilah. And I took actually a little excerpt from Handel's oratorio, Samson, and wove some of the violin lines into the music with my trumpet. So it's an arrangement where I'll be actually singing the Regina Spektor part, and then I'll be playing a little bit of trumpet from Handel's original oratorio from many hundreds of years ago, paired together with a very fresh new piece for basically a piece of pop music that is also a beautiful piece of poetry. So here is Samson.
Back to bed, not much hair left on his head. He ate a slice of Wonder Bread and went right back to bed. And the history books forgot about us, and the Bible didn't mention us, and the Bible didn't mention us, not even once. You are my sweetest my hair was red. He told me I was beautiful, and he came into my bed. Oh, I cut his hair myself one night, a pair of dull scissors in the yellow light, and he told me that I'd done all right, and he kissed me till the morning light, and he kissed me till the morning light. much hair left on his head. He ate a slice of Wonder Bread and went right back to bed. And we couldn't bring the columns down, yeah, we couldn't destroy a single one. And the history books forgot about us, and the Bible didn't mention us, not even once. You are my sweetest downfall. I loved you first.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. We're going to keep going. Next, we have a piece written, one of the few pieces on the program that was written for trumpet and piano. And this is a piece by Richard Peasley, and it was written in 1973. He was a beautiful composer. He composed for jazz, he composed for film, he composed classically and on Broadway as well. And so he was a New Yorker and an all-around very eclectic composer and writer, and I love his lush harmonies. It's really gorgeous, and you can hear some of the jazz elements. And the piece is called Night Songs, and it's one of the few pieces originally written for flugelhorn. Not a lot of composers utilize the flugelhorn, which is one of my favorite instruments to play. But I did live actually in New York City for a series of years, and there's no place quite like New York at night. In fact, I was one of the safest places I've ever felt when I lived, because there's always people around, but there's a lot of different, every corner you turn, there's a different energy and a different feeling. And I lived right on the Hudson, and you could walk outside and see the river shining in the moonlight and all the trees and the cliffs and the bluffs in the background. And it was this gorgeous, serene experience, and I think this piece highlights what New York is in the evening, especially a summer's eve. But then you go down into the underground subway and you see all these little critters and all these little people of the night and critters of the night just walking around and sometimes offering a huge element of surprise. And so this piece has a little bit of everything, every flavor that I experienced when I lived in New York, and I hope you enjoy Peasley's Night Songs. Thank you. It's so fun. Satoko and I played this same program yesterday in Middleton, and I always tell my students, I'm the professor of trumpet at UW-Madison, and I always tell my students, the room that you're in is a part of your instrument. Play as if the room is a part of the body of your instrument, right? Because in this beautiful space, it's incredible how different that piece feels as a piece of music and as a way we experience it as performers and how you experience it as listeners. The room creates a different piece and a different organism, and I think that's a really beautiful, beautiful thing. So moving on, we are going to go to another scene that occurs in the night, which is a lullaby. And it was written by a dear friend of mine, Rena S. Mail, and she is a fabulous composer based in Los Angeles. And she was born and raised in America, but her heritage and her parents and grandparents came over from India. And so she started as a pianist and became a composer. She ultimately went to Juilliard to study composition, and I actually was friends with her and met her in our graduate degrees at Yale in New Haven, Connecticut. And so she's been all over, and she had a Fulbright in India as well. And she said she had this big moment of realization when she started to combine her two sonic worlds. One was the training of her Western classical experience and her piano playing, and all of the beautiful, great composers out there that she's inspired by. And the other part of her sonic compositions are her family heritage and what she grew up listening to in her home. And she said she didn't really think much about it until she left her home to go to college. And so she grew up with her grandparents in the house singing to her, and she has a very vivid memory of one of the lullabies that her grandma would sing to her throughout her youth, but also that her grandma sang it to her as a small baby. And the lullaby was called Jula Jule, which is the title of this piece. And the song goes, Jula Jule, Jula Jule, Rina Rani, Jula Jule, which means back and forth, Rina the queen swings back and forth. And then she also found a cassette tape of her grandfather singing. And I can't remember if she found it after his death, but there was this beautiful preservation of him singing this gorgeous Hindustani tune and melody. And so she actually used Jula Jule and this recording of her grandfather to create the two melodies that are woven through this piece that you're about to hear. And it's sort of the purest form of folk music, because folk music, as we know it, is the tradition of sending melodies and stories down through tradition by word of mouth. And I love this piece because both of these melodies came directly to Rina from her family through their voices. And then she's the first one to capture these melodies. And it was originally written for violin and piano, but again, I like to steal music, and so I've stolen it for the piccolo trumpet and for a C trumpet. You may notice there's a lot of switching going on up here. I'll just give you a little demo. This is a flugelhorn, as you heard in Paisley Night Songs and the Chopin. It's a more conical instrument, meaning the bell flares gradually as it coils around. And in this instrument, the B flat, which is what most people start with in band, the piping is about the same length all the way through until the very end when the bell starts to flare out. And the difference between this kind of cylindrical piping and a more conical instrument where the piping, you can see right here, as you go from the bell and into the coils, the piping actually gets thinner and thinner and thinner as you go, and it creates a more mellow tone. This is a C trumpet, and this is also a cylindrical instrument, and it allows a much more brighter, more powerful tone. And then finally, we have the little baby piccolo, which is it helps us play. It's a major sixth higher if you're playing the key of A than the C trumpet, but it's sort of a descant instrument. It helps us play a little bit more fluidly and easily up in the upper register, and it was created mostly to replicate Baroque music, because actually a Baroque trumpet didn't used to have any valves. It just has holes or no holes at all, nothing, just you change every note with your lip. And so they created this piccolo trumpet to flourish in the upper register so that you could kind of recreate the essence of what the old Baroque instruments did when they played up in the clarino register, is what that was called. So I will get myself ready for Jula Jule, and please enjoy this one of my favorite lullabies that have ever been written. Thank you so much. That was Jula Jule by Rina Asmail. If you want to listen to more of Rina's music, I highly recommend going to her website. She's the most beautiful composer, and you probably heard the essences of Hindustani quarter tones and those little nuances and influence that make those melodies extra beautiful. I'm gonna hand it over to Satoko, who I have loved playing with these past few weeks, and it's just been such a joy to get to know her, and I'm just so lucky to be able to perform with Satoko.
Thank you so much. Well, right back at you. Thank you so much for playing with me. It's been such a joy to be able to play with a colleague, which didn't happen for more than a couple of years now. So because of the quarantine and not being able to play in the same place. So I'm really, really feeling that right now, and having a live audience, and then you've been really engaged and really feel the energy from you too. So thank you so much for responding so warmly. Okay, so the last piece that we'll play today is by, well, we encountered this piece really recently, and then we really loved it, reading it through. It's a very cool piece. So going with the nighttime theme of today, well, this piece is by Zoe Cutler. She's a trombonist and composer, an improviser and artist based in Detroit, Michigan. She's very much alive and well. Yeah, and she is well versed in many different genres of music, including classical and jazz and klezmer music as well. So you will hear a lot of influence of that in this music as well. It's called, the title we found funny, is Largo et Andante et Allegro et Presto, etc. So, yeah, so this is her take on the traditional concert pieces, you know, contest piece, which is kind of what we played in the second piece of today's program, Arvin's piece. So it's a really showy parts for both parts, trumpet and piano, but at the same time conveys a story in it. But that's her take. So you will hear a lot of jazzy chords and maybe klezmer, you know, dance-like character, and also so that's the nighttime theme, I think. So yeah, it's the nighttime dance music, and maybe you'll hear at the end a little bit of fireworks. That's up to you to decide. But yeah, so hopefully we'll have a good time doing that. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I'm just going to add, I forgot to mention this was written by Zoe Cutler, but my friend Ashley Killam is a trumpet player, and she started an organization called Diversify the Stand, because brass is traditionally a male-dominated instrument. And so she actually decided to commission a lot of pieces commissioned for or by female or people from the LGBTQ community to compose for brass players. And so now there's a big project of recording all this music, and this piece was from that collection. And so it's really exciting, the amount of new pieces they're putting out by traditionally underrepresented composers. It's really wonderful and really awesome. And so Ashley Killam is the inspiration behind Zoe Cutler's piece.
Okay. You guys were not aware that the printed program had an intermission, did you?